Hey, welcome back, everybody. Before we get going, just a quick reminder. Starting next week with round 65, I'm starting a 9-week series that I'm calling the Transition Blueprint. I've put together 9 topics that build on each other sequentially. I hope you'll tune in. For those of you who have already signed up or are going to sign up for the newsletter, at the end of the 9 weeks, I'll include a PDF of the series that you can also download. Also, I'm going to do a giveaway at the end of the 9 weeks. To be eligible for the giveaway, you need to sign up for the newsletter, and there will be a participation component. So go sign up. Okay, on with this episode. There's something you probably haven't thought about in a while. Not since that first time you stood in front of a room and had to give a briefing. Or maybe that day you found yourself unexpectedly becoming the calm in someone else's chaos. Remember it? The words didn't just come. They had weight. They mattered. Fast forward to now. You're looking ahead. Whether transition is breathing down your neck, it's a dot way off in the horizon, or it's just a thought of someday. There's one thing that's going to follow you into that next chapter. It's how you speak about yourself. Not just what you've done, but who you are, what you bring to the table, and how you leave people feeling after you talk. Because in the world outside the uniform, it's not always the most experienced person who gets the job or the offer that can change everything. It's often the one who communicates the best. Now, I know we're trained to be straight to the point. Yes, sir. No, ma'am. Brevity is clarity. But civilian life doesn't always work like that. And if you're still communicating like you're giving a sit rep, you might be underselling just how valuable you are. This episode isn't just about giving a speech. It's about the power of your voice, how it can shape your transition, define your narrative, and influence what doors open for you next. So with that, let's get into round 64 of the tactical transition tips. This time the topic is be articulate. For the close range group, those of you looking at your transition right away or you're less than a year out, record your transition TED Talk. For the medium range group, those of you looking at your transition in 5 years or so, do more public speaking. And for the long range group, those of you early in your careers, you have at least a decade before your transition, teach what you know. Close range group. Transition isn't a theory anymore. It's not a someday or a far off blip on the radar. It's now. It's real. Whether you've got a few months or you're within a year to go, you need to hear this. How you talk about yourself during this time can be one of your strongest tools or one of your biggest blind spots. So let's start there. Not with a resume, not with a LinkedIn profile, with your voice. And I mean that literally. Here's what I want you to do. Carve out 10 minutes over the next couple weeks. Find a quiet and private spot. You can do it in your garage, sitting in your car, your backyard in the evening. Pull out your phone, hit record, and give the talk of your life. This recording isn't to impress anyone, though. It's not to perform. But if you're somebody who needs to be animated and that helps you, then do that. The reason you need to do this, though, is to practice articulating your story, who you are, what you're about, and what are your life and career experiences. In essence, you're giving your TED Talk. For those of you who don't happen to know what TED Talks are, imagine a darkened theater. A single person is on stage, sharing a poignant story through personal storytelling. The speaker takes you on a journey through a challenge, a discovery, or an empowering vision, all in 18 minutes or less. I've had a previous guest on the podcast, Corinne Devon, Navy dentist and a beauty pageant contestant. She's done a TED Talk. The TEDx YouTube channel has 42 million subscribers. Go check some of them out. Now, I'm sure some of you are probably rolling your eyes. A TED Talk? Really? Yes. And here's why. Storytelling is how people connect with you. In the civilian world, people don't understand service the way we do. They don't speak our language. So you've got to become the translator of your career, your character, and your value. And your story, it's powerful, but only if you can tell it in a way that lands. So what should be in your talk? Start with your core message. What's the one thing you want a future employer to remember about you? Think about that. It's not, I was a squad leader for 10 years, or I spent 2 decades in law enforcement. That's your resume. It's not the message. The message is, I'm a problem solver who thrives in pressure. I lead by remaining calm in chaos. Or I've spent a career turning crisis into action. See the difference? So start there. Find that message and build your story around it. Next, translate your experience. Let's say you're coming from the military. You might be tempted to say, I was in charge of logistics for a battalion. And maybe that feels impressive. But to somebody outside the military, that might go right over their head. Try this instead, though. I coordinated logistics for over 300 personnel, operating in demanding environments, ensuring supplies, transportation, and timelines aligned with mission goals under stress with lives on the line. Now you've got their attention. Same goes if you're coming from law enforcement. I was on the crisis response team. Again, sounds like a bullet point. But instead, maybe I learned to de-escalate volatile situations and make rapid, high-stakes decisions that protected lives. That's a transferable skill. That's value. Remember, you're not trying to impress other veterans or first responders. You're talking to somebody who may have no idea what the military or first responder community is even about. Also understand this. There's a subtle difference between bullshitting and storytelling. You've got to figure that out. It's got to be factual and honest. But how you tell the story determines how they listen and how you are remembered. So then next comes the delivery. This is where many of us stumble, because you're not just telling your story, you're performing it. But when I say performing, I don't mean acting. I mean speaking with purpose. However, as I said previously, if you're naturally animated, be yourself. Me, for example, I don't think it's possible for me to do one of these episodes and not move my hands. But here's what you need to do and work on. Pauses. Silence isn't awkward. It's powerful. Use it to give your words weight. Vary your vocal delivery. Don't drone on. Don't be monotone. Don't be, please, if everybody remembers this and I'm not that old, don't be the guy from Ferris Bueller. Bueller. Change your tone. Get soft when it matters. Raise it up when you're fired up. Pace yourself. Don't rush. Let your words land. You want your story to feel alive, not rehearsed. Think of it like sitting around a table with a group that you like or that you're trying to inspire. I'd suggest think of it like you're talking to a group of young men and women who are looking to find purpose and their way. How would you talk to that group? I'm willing to bet you wouldn't talk to them like you're giving a report. You would want to invite them into your world. Don't think of this like you just prepared for a job interview. You're preparing for moments, those impromptu conversations that might occur at a conference, that time when a friend or a contact wants to introduce you to someone. When someone asks, tell me about yourself. This transition talk, I call it your TED Talk, that's your go-to. That's your anchor. You should be able to massage it, make it shorter, make it longer, adapt it to the room, but it starts here with you alone, recording it. Recording it is very important. And after you record it, watch it back and be honest with yourself. Did I come across the way I want to? Was my message clear? Did I sound confident? Or was I rushing, rambling? Or was I just flat? And here's where it gets spicy. Get feedback. Find somebody ideally outside your circle, someone who will also tell you the truth. Because here's a hard truth. What you think you're communicating may not be what people hear. Some people who don't really know you won't know your story. Ask them, what stuck out with you? Did I make sense? Did anything feel off? Use that feedback, adjust, and do it again. I know it feels awkward. I've done it. I use this method for when I would prepare for promotional testings. Hell, I do a solo episode for this podcast every week. But here's the inside scoop. It gets better. You get better, not just at speaking, but really owning your story. This process, it's not just about talking better. It's about getting crystal clear on who you are, what you've done, and where you're going next. So take the time, record your story, and then shape it and mold it until it becomes like your suit of armor. And on that battlefield of everybody else telling their story, yours is the one that is remembered. Are you tired of coffee that spikes your energy, then crashes you? Trident Coffee is different. Their cold brew is infused with MCT oil, lion's mane, and reishi mushrooms, which gives you steady energy, sharp focus, and brain-boosting benefits without the jitters. Plus, electrolytes fuel your recovery. They roast their beans to be optimized for cold brew, which means all their coffees taste amazing, not bitter. Brewed hot, over ice, or in your smoothie, Trident Coffee works however you do. Get yours at tridentcoffee.com and use the promo code TDP15 for 15% off. Medium range group. You're not rushing out the door, papers in hand, trying to figure out your next step. However, we both know these last few years will go by fast. Where the close range group needs to perfect telling their personal story, you have the time to work on perfecting talking beyond more than just your story. You're still in the thick of your career. And here's the thing. Your authority right now, it's baked into our system. Your badge, your rank, your title. That gives you a built-in presence. So then what carries weight when the uniform stays behind? It's your ability to communicate. And more than just being clear, being confident, being compelling, and being able to connect. It's why public speaking matters. Not someday, but now. And yes, public speaking sounds like something people in suits do at tech conferences or giving keynote speeches and TED Talks. Now, if that's already your thing, you're probably already actively working on your public speaking. But for those who aren't, what I'm talking about is actively speaking in your next team meeting, having a purpose when you're briefing your leadership, volunteering to give a presentation at your academy, or being part of a panel discussion in your community. Because when you speak up now, you start building a reputation that goes beyond your current role. Ask yourself this: how comfortable am I speaking to a group of people? Not giving orders, not delegating tasks, but standing in front of people and speaking to them in a way that they want to listen to you. If the answer is not really, then public speaking is your bridge. But how do you get better at it? First, own the room. Not with your rank, but with presence. You already have command presence from your uniform. You've handled operational briefings. You've led teams when things were uncertain. That's leadership. That's commanding. But it's not public speaking. In the civilian world, command presence looks a little different. It's not about volume or posture. It's about connection. Civilian audiences respond to eye contact, authenticity, and calm positivity. Try this the next time you're in front of a group. Instead of delivering information, focus on engaging the people you're speaking to. Stay open. Maybe get out from behind the podium. Make eye contact. Let your body language say, "I've got this," even if inside you're still working out the nerves. And don't fake it. Be real. People connect to recognizing not everybody is perfect. It's okay to stumble. Just recover and move on. 2, speak to be understood, not just heard. Our careers are about efficiency, even in communication. We love using jargon and acronyms. That works when we're talking to people who speak the same code. But outside our worlds, that stuff builds walls. Start learning to speak in a plain but powerful language. Think about those press conferences we've all seen. We execute missions in tandem with our allied agencies to achieve a successful resolution to difficult situations. Whereas we need to remember people just want us to talk to them. Maybe something would be better if they said, in large-scale emergencies, we work side by side with other departments to make sure every response is fast, safe, and coordinated. Same information. One version is more personal and less robotic. So practice talking like you're explaining to somebody who's not in our field. 3, develop speaking situational awareness. I know you already know this skill when I'm referring to situational awareness. You've been using it your whole career, reading the environment, watching people's energy, anticipating tension, and then adjusting your response. Speaking publicly is no different. If your audience looks confused, slow down and clarify. If they look bored, change your tone, add a story, or ask a question. If they look locked in, then lean into that and give them more detail. Think of this as tactical operations for communication. Civilian settings are less structured and can be informal, maybe even emotional. I know. You might have to show your personal side. You've got to be able to pivot, which makes you not just a speaker, but somebody people remember. 4, get comfortable thinking and speaking on your feet. You don't need a script. You need rhythm. You need clarity. You need confidence in your voice. But this also comes from being prepared. Oftentimes, our nervous insecurity comes from not really knowing what we want to talk about. So do your prep work. Now, if you want to take it to the next level, impromptu speaking practice. Have a family member or a friend write down some random topics. You don't want to have any idea of what's coming. When it's time to practice, you can do this alone, but I'd suggest doing it with an audience, even a small one. Grab one of the sheets with a topic, set a timer, say 2 minutes, and talk. No practice, no research, just go. Yes, it'll be tough at first, but you'll find your flow. You'll learn to structure thoughts in real time. And that's gold when you're in a job interview or a networking event or on stage fielding questions. 5, put yourself in the game as often as you can. Volunteer to run a workshop. Offer to speak at an event within your organization. Join a group like Toastmasters. Offer to speak on civilian community panels. Pick topics, obviously, that interest you. Remember this, though. Every rep counts. Every time you speak, you refine your presence. And every audience you connect with, you expand your reach beyond the walls of your organization or your unit. Public speaking isn't just about being heard. It's about being seen. When you speak with clarity and confidence, people see you as a leader, even if they've never worked with you, even if they've never seen your resume. Start now. Speak often and speak with purpose. And by the time you hang up the uniform, you won't just be another applicant. You'll be the one who walks in and owns the room. Veterans, first responders, and high performers. If you refuse to slow down, Human Performance TRT is built for you. Veteran-owned and operated, they understand what it means to push through. That's why they offer personalized hormone optimization, no locked-in contracts, and direct-to-door delivery. Visit hptrt.com today and use the code TDP for 30% off, because peak performance isn't optional, it's necessary. Long-range group. Right now, retirement and transition probably feels like a concept that only exists in HR folders or far-off galaxies. Your focus is the job, not that distant someday. But let's talk about a mindset shift. Not because I want you to fast forward and get out of your current role, but because there's a powerful tool you can start using today that's going to pay off everywhere, from where you're at right now to when you finally do take off the uniform for good. That tool is teaching. Now, before you check out on me and say, I'm not an instructor, just stay with me for a second. I'm not talking about formal classrooms with PowerPoints and lessons plans. Well, I would say that if you're interested in doing it, give it a shot. I did it for 10 years and I enjoyed it. But what I'm talking about is sharing what you know, passing it forward. But by doing this, sharpening your own communication blade in the process. Teaching forces you to do two things really well: clarify your thinking and connect with others. And those two skills, they're exactly what'll separate you in the civilian world, whether you end up being a leader in the private sector, consulting, or even starting your own gig. So let's hit some of the important points about how teaching makes you better. 1, teaching builds mastery. There's a saying, if you really want to understand something, teach it. And it's true. Let's say you've run hundreds of operations or medical calls. You know your stuff. But when you try to explain a concept to a new member or walk someone through your decision-making process, that's when you realize you've got to slow down, break it apart, and explain the why behind the what. That forces clarity. It forces structure. And every time you teach someone else, you reinforce your own understanding. Your goal should be to become the person people go to, not just because you've done it, because you can explain it. 2, teaching develops your communication style. In our worlds, communication is direct and often blunt. Orders go down, reports come up. There's often not a lot of room for nuance or conversation. But teaching flips that around. Now you've got to read your audience. Are they tracking? Do they need more detail? Are you talking over their heads? When you teach, you're exercising a skill set that'll carry you through interviews, meetings, boardrooms, and after you leave this job, the same interviews, meetings, in front of hiring execs. 3, teaching builds emotional intelligence. We're used to immediate action and clear commands. There's not always an opportunity for long conversations or, some of you may really not like this, feelings. The civilian world, there's a different rule set. People value collaboration. They value feedback and emotional nuance. Teaching you helps you develop those muscles. Because to teach well, you have to listen, you have to be patient, and you have to adjust how you deliver based on who you're talking to. And trust me, those soft skills, they'll become your superpower when it's time to transition. Employers aren't just hiring resumes. They're hiring people who can lead, adapt, and connect. 4, teaching prepares you for industry shifts. Your world isn't static. Technology changes, tactics evolve, policies shift. When you teach, you stay sharp, you stay current. You're forced to keep learning, to keep refining, and challenge your own assumptions. That keeps you relevant, and that relevance becomes your currency. And an added bonus, when you teach, you start creating a personal brand. People begin to associate you with knowledge, with mentorship, with wisdom. Think of that as a key that will open a lot more doors. Think of teaching as consulting. Your knowledge will be valuable to people and organizations. So how can you put this into action right now? A very easy starting point: mentor someone. Don't wait for formal permission. Start small. Share what you've learned with someone junior or less experienced than you. Offer to lead a training session. It could be within your unit. It could be within your organization, to a group in your community. Just get in front of people. Volunteer to teach at your academy or within your training unit within your organization. Create your own content. Figure out what you know well. develop and offer it locally. It doesn't have to immediately make money. Offer it for free just to see if it gets traction. Bottom line though, just get something going. Oh, but make sure you get permission from your organization first. Don't get jammed up teaching something you're not authorized to, or that you're not authorized to teach in general. Get that clarified. Here's the last thing. Don't wait until you're almost out to think about how you communicate your value. Start now. Teaching is a long game. It builds your reputation, sharpens your thinking, and positions you as a leader beyond the uniform. So go share what you know and make it count. Sponsorship for this podcast comes from Brothers in Arms USA. They're a veteran-owned and operated clothing and accessories brand that's 100% American-made. Every piece tells a story of brotherhood, respect, discipline, and honor. Deeply inspired by those who serve, those who have served, and those who have paid the ultimate price serving our great country. Whether you're an outdoor enthusiast, a proud patriot, or simply somebody who values high-quality American craftsmanship, they've got something for you. Go check out brothersandarms.com, spelled out fully, brothersandarms.com. Use the promo code TRANSITION20 to get 20% off your purchase. All right, let's bring this plane in for a landing. Close range group. Record your transition talk. Your story is your currency, but only if you know how to spend it. Speak it out loud, refine it, and practice it. Medium range group. Do more public speaking. The way you communicate can open doors before you ever touch a resume. Get comfortable speaking now, so when it's time to transition, you don't just enter the room, you own it. Long range group. Teach what you know. The best way to cement your legacy and sharpen your skills is to share what you've learned. Teach, mentor, and pass it forward. Because in doing so, you prepare yourself for what's next, whenever that is. Thank you for listening to or watching the episode. If you have any comments or questions, please reach out, either on social media or send me an email. I'd love to hear from you. All the links are in the show notes. Also, if you're not already, please follow the podcast on whatever platform you get your podcasts. You can also subscribe on YouTube. And if you would, please leave a rating. The more ratings the podcast gets, the more the podcast gets recommended to people. Another ask, please share the podcast with anyone you think could benefit from it. Also, don't forget to sign up for the newsletter. And remember, the way you communicate shapes the way you're seen. And whether you realize it or not, the moment will come when that skill makes all the difference. Because transition is coming. And when it does, you'll need to be articulate.